What's going on, sci-fi fans? My name is Ben and welcome back to the bench for another episode here on Sci-Fi Wednesdays. As you can see, we're actually not working on the TIE fighters today. We're actually going to go ahead and put that off for right now. We're going to get back on that next episode. I thought we'd go ahead and take a little bit of a break while I wait for some supplies to show up, and we go ahead and do a quick stash update. Over the last couple of weeks, I've actually picked up a couple of really cool sci-fi models. So I thought I'd go ahead and share what I picked up and talk a little bit about them. So let's get started. First kit here up on the bench is something I picked up from Hobby Lobby. This is the Death Star 2 and Star Destroyer combo kit by Bandai, and I'm actually really interested in seeing how these build up because so far the Bandai kits that I'm building for that vehicle set and the trench diorama that I'm building, those have gone together beautifully. So I'm hoping that these will be the exact same way. Now if you notice though, these are also very tiny. They're definitely not on scale with each other, but I think still we could do something pretty cool with this Star Destroyer. If you guys have ever seen the movie Rogue One, you guys might remember that there is a Star Destroyer sitting above a plateau out in the middle. I think it's Jeddah City. So that might be interesting to go ahead and do something with that here. But again, it's Bandai, so you know they're going to go together well. Instructions are super simple. There's not a lot of parts to each of these kits, and I think we can actually do something pretty neat with both of them. I'm really interested in that Star Destroyer, but again, the Death Star would be cool too. Again, they're small, but you know what? They'll still build up well. And the Star Destroyer, again, I might be able to do something with that, like do a little bit of a diorama. So that would be pretty cool. And I think they're going to be a great addition to the sci-fi build queue. Moving right along, guys, in the same vein as those vehicle sets, I ended up picking up this little guy right here. This is the Jedi Starfighter. It's actually 009, and it's something that I've been wanting to build as well for a little bit of a while now because I haven't found a 1/72nd scale version of this particular ship. And this is the fighter craft that Obi-Wan used in Attack of the Clones. It's a super cool, very space age looking fighter, and you can tell it is small. It is not a large kit at all. It does come with that hyperdrive ring though, so that's pretty cool. You see on the box art, it actually detaches from that ring so it can go ahead and maneuver around and do whatever it needs to do. Then it comes back, clicks into that, and it can hyperdrive out of there. So kind of interesting. This is again one of the vehicle series, so there's not a lot of options here. As you can see, we have stickers instead of decals. I might not really want to use those. I might want to paint that, which would be very difficult to do and very tedious. But if I could pull it off, imagine how much better it would look as opposed to putting on stickers. Lots of possibilities, lots of interesting ideas I have with this kit. I don't know if this is 1/144 scale, but if it is, I could actually mate it up to the Jango Fett Starfighter, do a little bit of diorama from also Attack of the Clones. Might be kind of cool when they're in the asteroid field. Another great candidate and something I've been looking for a while, so picked it up. And there you go. Moving right along, guys, I actually got this in the mail the other day. I had pre-ordered this back when it was first announced. This is the Boba Fett 1/12 scale version from The Mandalorian or Book of Boba Fett. This is a re-armored version. So you can see here, it's got a nice and crisp color scheme. It's got some cloth material for the cape, for the side surround, and also for his neck area there. It's a very interesting looking color scheme. It's all cleaned up and new. So it's something that I've been wanting to build. Opening up the box here, guys, you are greeted with a very typical Bandai layout. We got a nice sturdy box, really cool box art, and then inside, of course, we have all of our poly bags, multiple sprues, all molded in color, which is also very cool for those people who do not actually want to paint or do anything with that. We even have cloth in here for different parts of Boba Fett's actual armor and padding below the armor. So very, very cool looking. Molds are very typical Bandai, awesome detail, and of course it's snap tight, so there's no problems with that. Really, honestly, a beautiful part breakdown and a great looking little model. The instructions, of course, are very typical of Bandai as well. We have fold-out pages here that show you all the sub-assemblies from your torso to your legs to how it all goes together to your, of course, jetpack and all of your armor. And typically, I don't really have any complaints with Bandai instructions. They're usually very nice. Sometimes they can get a little confusing, I will admit, but if you pay attention and kind of look over your parts, usually they don't throw you for a loop and you'll be all right. One thing kind of interesting though, if you notice here, this has a face sculpt of the actor who played Jango Fett and Boba Fett. So that's kind of interesting. I wasn't expecting this kit to actually have a human face in it. It's kind of weird. I'm not really used to Bandai kits having human faces, but it's beautifully molded. So if I was into painting, you know, flesh, skin tones and whatnot, this would be a really good candidate to go ahead and give it a try. So you never know. It's very interesting. Now I actually ordered this from a website called Big Bad Toy Store, or BBTS. And it is one of those sites I love to visit, and they usually have really cool stuff, but for some odd reason, they typically lag on their shipping. This came a week ago, and I actually pre-ordered this like last year, sometime August, something like that. I did also pre-order the Mandalorian armor and I did get that, but for some reason, BBTS didn't really send this to me until recently, and I could have actually picked it up from Burbank House of Hobbies a good month and a half ago. So I don't really know what the deal is with them. Sometimes they take a little bit longer, but they always have a really nice selection of cool models, a great selection of Bandai kits. So you know what? You take the good with the bad, honestly. You guys know I like Star Wars, big fan, but I'm also a pretty big fan of Star Trek. So I actually had to pick up something else other than Star Wars. And so I grabbed this little model right here. This is the 1/2500 scale version of the Disco Enterprise, the USS Enterprise NCC 1701 from Star Trek Discovery. This is one of those model kits that isn't necessarily a giant splashy model kit with tons of options and lighting and all that stuff. This is exactly the same model kit as I built the Shenzhou. We've got a single poly bag with 2 sprues, nothing too fancy in there. We've got some clear parts as well. So this actually can be lit. I've seen some guys online do it, but it's a really cool design. Of course, just like the Shenzhou, everything called out on the inner part of the box lid, which is again kind of strange, but I'll allow it, it's all good. And I think this is one of the better looking of the Enterprise designs. So I'm actually very excited to go ahead and give it a shot. Now for the decals, much like the Shenzhou, we're going to have the larger sheet style decals. And those went on really, really well with the Shenzhou, so I'm assuming these will go on just as equally well. So you can see full Aztec markings actually look really, really nice. Got the sensor bands around the edge of the saucer and of course all the details for the top of the saucer. Notice the registry number is a separate decal because it's not on this one, it's probably on the second one. But that is interesting because that was one of my complaints with the Shenzhou is that the registry numbers were all molded as one along with the Aztecing. The second set of decals, like I said, here we go. We have the registry numbers here. We've got other areas for the Aztec markings to go around the undersurface of the hull, I'm assuming, maybe undersurface of the saucer. So yeah, lots of stuff here. Let's go ahead and put them away, but they look great. And if they're anything like the Shenzhou decals, they should go on without any problem whatsoever. Now this isn't a new kit, mind you. This has been out for a while and I've seen tons of videos online talking about it, but as you can see, it's got some really nice detail here. It's got a cutout here for those clear parts, so it makes it really nice to light it. One thing I will say though is that more than likely this is going to run into the same problem I had with the Shenzhou, seeing as the nacelle supports are all solid pieces. That might be a little tricky, but if I could do it on the Shenzhou, I could probably do it here as well. So that should be something that I can look into at a later date. Now I know Green Strawberry does actually have an update set for this particular model, so I might have to look into that, see if it's any good, maybe check out some reviews, and if I can get that, I might want to pick that up and, well, just try it out and see what happens. But that is it. We are done for today. Those are the kits I picked up recently for Sci-Fi Wednesdays. As you can see, I'm really kind of growing that sci-fi build queue, and I don't really know what I want to go ahead and work on next. I just kind of collect kits as I find them, and I get all these cool ideas, but we're going to get back on the TIE Fighter builds. Don't you worry. We're going to finish that build. We're going to finish that diorama. But that is it, guys. Thank you so much for joining us here. Like I said, I just wanted to give you a real quick look at a couple of sci-fi kits that I picked up recently. Now that does not mean that we're going to jump into any of these right away. We still have to finish off our trench run. We're going to get that all squared away. We've got some resin to work with. We've got some painting to do. Probably a bit more masking if I'm honest, but I'm excited to jump back in on those TIE Fighters and see what we can do with the painting. And of course, try out my molds and see if I can't get some cool bases. So until our next episode, guys, you know the drill. Go out there, get yourself some bench time, have some fun, build something cool, and we'll see you back here on the next episode of Sci-Fi Wednesdays with some more sci-fi adventures. Thanks for watching, everybody. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you soon.